This has Suns fans genuinely horrified. As we all know, Brian Gregory was named GM of the Phoenix Suns over the past week, and he has deep ties to Matt Ishbia, allowing some reporters, some analysts to say this is just a puppet for Matt Ishbia to make all the decisions that he wants to make, with bringing Brian Gregory in out there as his president of basketball operations. And this is a concern that I know a lot of Suns fans are saying, hey, we're going to give him a shot. We are going to give him a chance. Listening to his presser, we are going to give him his best shot. And that is still my stance. That is still my position on things. But a recent quote from Brian Gregory, frankly, has a lot of Suns fans, even the most optimistic of Suns fans, very, very worried about this current situation. So we're going to break down what this quote is, why this is just a very bad sign in terms of, in the broader scope of things with all the reports and everything that's come out, why this sheds very bad light in terms of this expected impact he's going to have in terms of decision-making on the Suns roster, and what we can expect from this team now going into the offseason with this new information in mind. So much to break down out here in this video, but folks, again, if you're a part of the over 67% of our viewers that haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, you're tuning in to the daily Phoenix Suns news. I know there's a lot of new people tuning into the channel. If you guys are enjoying the content, the daily content we have going up here with me and Bruce, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button because we don't want you to miss a single thing that's going on with this Phoenix Suns team. But let's dive into it because, of course, the context is key here with this Brian Gregory hire because he's a guy that was named GM of the Phoenix Suns as of late, and frankly, there was enough concerns when this initially came out, before we saw any quotes, before we saw that press conference. There were concerns basically because he has deep ties to Matt Ishbia, who is an owner, and I'll give him credit. He is passionate about the Suns team, he cares about the Suns team, and he is knowing what's going on out there on the basketball court. Don't get me wrong with anything out there along those lines, but there is just a history, not just in the NBA, but in pro sports. When your owner is too hands-on, when you are too, I want to get into the weeds with the decision-making, you don't have that experience, negotiating with front office and stuff, bad decisions end up happening. And, we're seeing now the Suns roster in terms of how it's shaping up, right? There's a lot of big contracts out here on this team, and this team couldn't even make the play-in tournament this year with the highest salary out there in the entire NBA. Now, I'm happy that an owner for the Phoenix Suns is willing to spend money, but with all the restrictions, with all the things you have to consider, with the cap and, the luxury tax, and then, your draft picks getting taken away if you're over that luxury tax mark for multiple seasons, there's a lot of stuff that, this approach just isn't as optimal, even if you want to spend money, even if you want to get things going. But that's how the owner that is desperately trying to get this team to be right, that's, the common pitfalls we see teams fall into. And, the Russian guy that owned the Nets that made those big blockbuster trades for Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, that set the team back years, nearly a decade, some would argue. So, you don't want to fall into that trap as an owner. And this offseason, there was so much excitement in terms of, hey, James Jones, who I don't think should be scapegoated for, the pitfalls for this, the roster construction of this team, over the past few seasons. I mean, in the Kevin Durant trade, James Jones was adamant about not wanting to give up Mikal Bridges in one of those trades. And then, Matt Ishbia was like, just get the deal done. Just get the deal done. Even though Kevin Durant wanted to come to the Suns, there wasn't really any other options. James Jones has held out another week. He probably could have got that deal done while maintaining Mikal Bridges out there on the roster. Now, we see Mikal Bridges was traded from the Nets to the Knicks for, $1 billion first-round picks, and he has been dominant out there in the postseason run this season. But I digress on the Mikal Bridges front. Matt Ishbia decides, as an owner, a passionate owner does when he doesn't have a GM or someone in the position of power, right? Hey, to push back, to say, hey, that's not the smart move. Let me handle this. Let me deal with this. Matt Ishbia loves to get involved in the weeds, and that was the biggest concern about this Brian Gregory hire because they have a deep ties going back to Michigan State. He was brought in terms of his relationship. That's why he's there. And we were hoping, hey, maybe he's just a hidden basketball mind. We're excited to see him, finally get in the forefront. And, Matt Ishbia has hired him because he knows he's a genius basketball mind or something along those lines. However, these recent quotes I don't want to say it completely throw out the optimism a lot of people have, but I will say that for the stretch. Basically, Brian Gregory said, Matt and I, so Matt Ishbia and I, are a team. We are completely aligned. I report to Matt Ishbia. Matt Ishbia is an owner that is involved, and I like that. But he has also empowered me to build this team. So at least that last sentence, he's empowered me to build this team, is there. But He goes on to say, I'm never going to shy away from the fact that the reason I am sitting up here because of my relationship with Matt Ishbia. Now, someone that's saying these types of quotes in their introductory press conference after reports have already come out and Suns fans have been outspoken about the concern about, hey, Matt Ishbia has been too hands-on as a owner here now at this point. He gets in the way of what the GMs are trying to do. To come out and have those types of quotes from your owner have essentially said, hey, this is the way it's going to be. Matt Ishbia is going to be hands-on. I am here because of Matt Ishbia, because of this relationship, because of this. That signals, that not even just implies, that is directly stating Matt Ishbia will be super involved in the negotiations, the planning in terms of the strategy out here for the Phoenix Suns, and there's going to be no pushback. There's going to be no, hey, I'm the GM here. I'm going to do this, Matt Ishbia. You should settle down in terms of the trade discussions and things like that. And then the Suns team is going to fall into the same common pitfalls that it has in the past, that other teams in the past that had, very hands-on ownership, right? Then it's going to cause those types of issues. And when in a season where you have Kevin Durant available via trade and all that type of stuff, it's just not a good sign for this team. And Suns fans are really worried about this because, again, I'd rather have an owner that's passionate about the team, that cares about the team, that wants to see the team succeed. And frankly, that is what Matt Ishbia is. So that's a solve. But being too hands-on, it causes some issues. So now what can we expect from the Suns team going into the offseason? Well, it's not really going to be what Brian Gregory says. It's what Matt Ishbia has to say. And he's had some quotes coming out essentially saying that I want to put a team out there on the court that everyone's proud of. That, it has to have an identity that is similar to Phoenix with that little bit of grit, some determination, some work ethic, some grind, some joy. And so we just haven't had that. We did it in a different way, and it didn't work. So I think those are the sentiments of the Suns fans organization, but if you lean too hard in that, then you're just going to trade away a guy like KD for nothing or get not the valuable package back out there in terms of one of those deals. So you need to have a balance. You need to have a smart kind of strategy out there on that front. And basically, we also have heard that from Brett Siegel that Ishbia will not accept less value in a trade involving Durant than they initially sent out to get him. So, of course, that's a big trade package. It's a big ask for a guy that right now is 36 years old, still putting up phenomenal stats, still putting up some phenomenal numbers, all those types of things, 27.6 rebounds, 4 assists, 43% from the three-point line, 50% on corner threes. Like, KD is still good and should still net you a solid trade package, but it just... there's a misalignment in terms of what's real, how things have to be handled out there in the NBA from an owner's perspective, from what a GM is supposed to be doing. And it's just concerning to have these quotes come out directly kind of feeding into the fears of what a lot of Suns fans have to say. So, I don't know. We'll see how things shake out here now at this point. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. You guys are the best to think as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.